Hello, my friends. Welcome to part 2 of my Twitch stream from last week. This is a 3/4 session breakdown of Ben Ellis Still Be Friends. I'm still kind of getting the lay of the land, and I probably could have gone deeper on it, but this is my first time doing it, and I hope you guys enjoy. I just wanted to shout out the two writers who I didn't shout out on the stream, which I feel bad about. Always credit your collaborators, Dan Breyer and Andrew Jackson, who wrote the initial version with Ben. They wrote the hook and I think most of the pre-chorus, and then it was finished by me and Ben and James October, who also produced it with me. So I just wanted to shout out Dan and Andrew, who are amazing writers. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of this breakdown. I'm going to do a lot more. Going to start going on Twitch more often. As I said in the other video, I'm also going to do beat making, bring artists in the studio, chat with people on Zoom like I used to on the old streams. But yeah, this is the next era, and I hope you guys enjoy. As always, no sponsors, no Patreon, not charging anything, no ads. Just trying to get good information out there. So if you like it, share it with somebody. Thanks so much. Hope you enjoy. All right, maybe I'll just play some stuff off of this session. Are any particular things you guys want to hear? Maybe I'll play this through the first chorus. So this is a song by a young Welsh artist named Ben Ellis, who I've done a lot with. There were a few little changes to this thing that I have here, the session that I have here, before it went to Will Reeves, who was the amazing co-mixer, and then he and I kind of went back and forth for a bit on it. But yeah, this came out sometime in the last couple of months on his EP. I think it's his top streaming song. He's a pretty new artist. But yeah, this is a song that he wrote the chorus and part of the pre-chorus with two other writers, then brought it in to me and James October, the co-producer and co-writer on this, and we produced it all from the ground up and rewrote the verses on it. So it's different verses in the demo. Maybe I will do a longer session breakdown for the next one, but this is just kind of to test things out and see what you guys might want to hear. So I'll just play it from the top through maybe into the first verse, and then I'll just kind of talk about it, and y'all just tell me if you want to hear stuff. All right.
I start to sweat. You know you got me playing games that I regret. You said you needed to get some things off your chest. You know I'm gonna give in to your empty threats. You know what's best when it's dark and you're caught and the music stops. We've not spoken a month, but I still feel sparks. Tell me, can we kiss and still be friends? Oh, if we cross that line, honey, I know I never wanted to end. I could bite my tongue and kiss and tell. But if we don't bite the bullet, you'll drive me out of my head. You're so hard to miss.
All right. So that's the session as I have it here. Maybe I'll just kind of go through it here. It's horribly disorganized. I do think I organized this a little bit better before I sent it to Will. You can see I have like unnamed groups and then a bunch of random ungrouped stuff here. This is the demo, which I usually have through a different output because we were referencing parts and all of that. Got kind of the drums and the basses on their own groups here, and then they're all bussed together to this group, which adds some claps and some tambourines and things. And then a bunch of ungrouped things, some guitars. What are these? Oh, these are James's guitars, the co-producer, James October. Yeah, it's crazy. And some electrics, and then all the vocals. All right, so man, look at all these vocals, all these background vocals. I think these were later consolidated. Look at all these vocals. Look at all these vocals. My goodness. All treated a little bit differently, I suppose. So I guess we'll go in and just like, let's check out these drums here. Look in the verse. So the drums on this song were recorded by the great Kean Reardon and played by Dave Ellis, world-class, incredible drummer, dear friend, made amazing sounding stuff. So there's a Pro Tools session, and again, I can do this, open these things later in future lives if you guys want to go real deep on it. The Pro Tools session has the drums, which were mixed. I did a mix of them and then bounced them to a 2-track. So these are the live drums here. Very simple. Once we get into the chorus, I think we have some... So the song kind of develops, and then at some point, you see I have it on another track here, it gets into... pretty smashed. Kean, we did it at Studio 606, the Foo Fighters studio, Flex. Name drop, that Kean connected us to because I guess they have the same management as St. Vincent, who he does a lot of work with. So these drums are all run through the Neve console there, the famous Sound City console. So all the drums have all this distortion on the snare mics and all this kind of stuff because they're jammed through, kind of like you would do on Decapitator or something like that. And then I bounce them down. So they're really smashed. There's this extra supplemental one, which is, what is this? Basically a kick drum, a separate kick drum channel, so I can blend them in together. Just have a little more control versus, so have a little more dump in them. And then of course I've got a great cashmere kick hip hop punchy that I added to it, and that adds all the really dumpy low end. And this is without it. With it. And you'll see here that some of these pickups in the kick drum, I didn't put the cashmere on here because you want that like ba-ba. You don't want it to be ba-ba. The groove in this song is kind of everything. I could probably spend a whole hour just on this groove, which maybe I'll do. Who knows? Who knows how long I'll do this? I guess I don't need to stick to doing just a 1 hour live. Like that's another thing with Instagram is that the rules seem to change or the algorithms change or whatever, where it's like it got cut off at an hour a couple of times. Anyway, so we've got the live drums plus this dumpy synthetic kick. And as you'll see here, I hand lined these up. These aren't perfectly to a grid because I wanted the feel of the live drums, but I wanted that modern punch to them. So you see, it's not lined up exactly right. The sample is lined up nicely, or at least more or less. But so I hand, I option dragged these motherfuckers to get it in there just right. Are you lining the samples to the live drums? Absolutely. Ableton does not. How am I doing it? Slowly, like that. Quick zoom in, get it right. That's a snare drum, but that's how I would do it. Click and drag, baby. So many of the things in making music, like you find all the shortcuts, but then there's also a lot of things where I wish long cuts was a better phrase. We'd make a t-shirt out of that. Sounds like a brand of tobacco or something. But shortcuts are amazing. I'm always looking for them. I'm always looking for a faster way to do stuff. But when it comes to like, especially drums and vocals, it just takes a lot of time. You can put auto-tune on auto mode and have it sound like everything else, or you can hand edit in graphical mode and get it exactly how you want. Same with drums, same with drum groove. You can see Dave Ellis is a very good player, so these are pretty well, although you can see it's not exactly on a grid. It's not on a swing, or like that would be boom, gap, boom, but it's not on either the swing or the unswung grid. It's sort of in between, and that's just Dave Ellis being dope at drums and getting the right kind of swing to it. All right, so anyway, I'll just loop this here. So, and then I added this big Oliver snare. Shout out Oliver. Just a real 80s sounding snare. So you add those together. And you can see the loop actually has a little bit of the next transient. So maybe I'll make the loop perfect. Nothing like non-gridded drums to fuck your whole day up. Or make it amazing. Okay, so those are the main drums. And also, am I talking over things? Is everything all right? Everything doing all right here? I think that's basically the whole... so these little camera percussion things. Best feature they added recently in Ableton, the ability to adjust the waveform. This was a loop that James, the other producer, put into it. And I think he chopped that up. So you can hear that it's not dit, 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 dit. It's more like dit, 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 dit. It's got a little swing to it. Dit, 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 dit. God, I love swing in drums. That's probably what most of these live streams are going to be about when I get into sessions. So that's the main drums, and we'll get into... There's extra stuff that happens in the chorus, and there's some cymbals, and there's some other stuff. But the main drum groove, and then it's all this crazy bass Juno shit. So again, the song for reference, because it's not like some giant pop song that everybody knows.
But you know you got me playing games that I regret. You said you needed to get some things off.
I'll just play it without the vocals. So with this, you've got the Juno bass, which I'm guessing this is split up. So we have, yeah, and we have, all right. So you can see it's a little bit behind the grid, and I think I played this. So I probably did some, let's see, doesn't look like any nudging there. I probably consolidated though. I don't think I played it this well. I'm sure I was nudging rhythms and stuff, but you can see it's not consistently, and even though the drums are also not exactly on the grid, but this is even less on the grid, but they're all a little bit behind. Actually, you can see here, I probably nudged it about that much to get it behind the drums just a little bit. So I've got the main low end, which has some LFO tool just taken off the first hit just a little bit. And then, yeah, this kind of 200 boost to get the note of it to come out a little bit more. Here's without it. With it. Has more of that brr, brr, brr going rather than just sub. And then I duplicated it here to get you can hear a stereo buzziness, and this has all kinds of shenanigans on it. Who knows what of these is actually useful? Because a lot of how, I'm producing and kind of mixing at the same time, but it's like, you guys know, if you're producing stuff, you're just throwing stuff. Oftentimes it's good to just flow and throw stuff and not worry about, is this the perfect thing? Is this plugin doing the right thing? I leave plugins on, go back and realize I'm not even using this EQ. So this probably has some of that on there, but it's an exact duplicate of the initial waveform, initial file of the Juno. So got some kind of transient designer. Oh, taking off some attack, it looks like. Devil lock. Just making it more in your face. Micro shift, classic, just stereoizer. This pedal, which is a great Ableton plugin. Oh, I have a gate here too. Let's take off the gate actually. See, it's a little longer with the without the gate. But another LFO tool, pedal, EQ, take out all that low end. Because I've got the other Juno track doing the low end. Take all these things off. I love keeping them all up, but... And then I think there must be some mono move here. Yeah. In the beginning, I have it in mono just for the intro, and then it goes back into stereo for the rest of the song. So just an automated utility here. But yeah, and so getting this gate Here's without it, without the extra buzzy track. Sick Juno sound, but now with the extra buzz. So that's most of the drums and bass. But once I got there, it just felt like I needed a little more pluckiness to it. Like when you listen to, I don't know, Prince Kiss or these things that are very organic but have this kind of like bitey percussiveness to it. I just felt like it needed a plucky thing to it as well. So a super gated, chopped up live bass, and that's at least to me, a trick I learned from Circuit. He said that on, what were we talking about? I Feel It Coming, the Weeknd track, which is like Circuit and Daft Punk at the top of their game with the Weeknd is like, that's about as good as you get. But talking about this trick of making the low end of a bass happen with a synth. So it has that modern, perfect low end, but then doing a picked bass on top of it and moving it around and lining them up so you get the feel of the pick and the percussiveness of it, so it feels organic, but the low end is perfect. So I just did that. Very different than the sound of that song, but what you get, here's without it. With it. Pretty important. Let's see, drums without it. Drums and bass, but without the pluck. With it. I love this groove. Let me see anything worth talking about on here. Okay, let's listen to it without. I don't even know. I also probably, there's extra bass tracks here. I clearly played a bunch of bass things at various points. You can see there's a whole bass performance here that sounds like this. It already has a gate on it, but just trying to play a bass part and then ended up chopping it up and lining them up. So let's see, without any of the stuff on them. Oops. Still pretty choppy, but boy, that gate really does it, doesn't it? Just the shifter, flanger, phaser vibe. Ableton version. I don't know why I have the utility. Maybe it was playing with mono. I don't know. Again, nothing on the Pro Q3 here. Pro Q4, I guess. Yeah, and then just gating it. Like it sounds too short, but in context. And there's little things like this, just throwing in there's little nuggets of percussion. And I think there's guitar stuff down here. So when you're listening to the track, James, co-producer, did a whole, the way we worked with this song was we all worked on it together. Then I would do a round of production, send it to him. He would send me stems back and I would act as kind of his editor. That's one of the great things about collaborating on production, and I guess mixing as well. Oftentimes with production, I find it's good if one person is kind of the editor, collector, finisher, and the other person is the idea person. I have been both at different times. I've certainly done a lot of finishing, so I end up being that kind of, I do that role a lot, which is what we did here. But I also like being just here's a bunch of ideas, you go finish it. So James did a ton of these guitar things. See if I can drag one of these out. Yeah, there's all kinds of, each one of these has like a whole set of different parts on it. And I just chopped them up and basically put them in between the vocals or found little hooks in them. So when you listen here with the vocals, you can hear these guitars just pop in as like a little riff.
But you know you got me playing games that I regret. You said you needed to get some things off your chest. You know I'm gonna give into your empty threats. You know what's best.
last one was such a monster. That plus, did I do some bass thing? Where's the bass thing? Oh yeah, all the way up here, there's some extra bass thing. Just like, again, trying to channel Prince on like little riffs and little funky moments. Yeah, the slide on the change. Yeah, the amp noise. I mean, that's another thing is that we talk about with modern record making is like what elements are going to sound like the computer and what elements are going to sound like people doing things. Again, like you could play a synthesizer part, but if you play it live on a Juno the MIDI cannot be edited after, there's just something you get if, becomes part of a larger whole of the actual played, hand swept or whatever. Same thing with guitar amp noise. I mean, there's times here, I don't have like a full Faraday cage around here, so I'm using a Strat single coil pickup. I'll do the rotation to get it to buzz the least, but also sometimes it's sick to have the buzz and not try to like RX it after or whatever. So yeah, that's definitely a part of the sound of this song, which is a hybrid of programmed and live.
I'm gonna give in to your empty threats. What's best when it's dark and you're caught in the music.
So the change here is really to try to get it away from that groove because it's going to come back in the chorus, and I wanted it to really pay off in the chorus. So you're just, even looking at the session, you just see the drums stop completely for this pre-chorus. You get all this extra new stuff, acoustic guitars, some swells, other guitars, more guitars. The vocals are treated differently. And then you got these crazy swells up into the chorus. So I'll play this pre-chorus into the chorus one more time.
Best when it's dark and you're caught and the music stops. We've not spoken much, but I still feel sparks. Tell me, can we kiss and still be friends? Oh, if we cross that line, honey, I know I never wanted to end. I could bite my tongue and kiss and tell.
So the whole idea is to get away from the main groove and the main feel in the pre-chorus, but not get so far away that the chorus doesn't make any sense when it comes in. Now, it's helped a lot by this break because you get a big swell.
Tell me, can we kiss and still be friends?
It's such a payoff that when you have that kind of a hook and that kind of a payoff, you can get away with more contrast because every part is really exciting. But with the pre-chorus, I remember trying to figure out what the feel was, and I was messing with acoustic guitar, and I was going to try to do like a plucky thing, and I just kind of played a strummy, like Oasis-y type thing, and I was like, oh, this works really nicely. So these are the acoustic guitars that I played here. I think probably through this 67 or maybe the 44, I'm not sure. So, it comes in.
Best and the music stops.
So I think I kind of played 3 different parts. Let's see. Nice high one. And then what's this one? I really tried to avoid doing any normal stereo doubles on anything, just because, it's the Rick Rubin philosophy. If you have 10 things playing the same part, it ends up just blending into being one part. And I did want this to blend, but I kind of wanted it to feel loose. So you put the 3 parts together. It kind of bounces around left, right rhythmically. No pickups on that. And then there's just a whole orchestra of other sounds. This is a James sound. Pretty low in the mix. There's all these kinds of guitars. Boo, 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 boo. He did some guitars, James. And I would say when we made this song, there were probably twice as many things. Yeah, that's a great comment there. Wow. It's so blended and loose at the same time. You nailed it. Thank you. That's very much what we're going for. And, you know, you listen to a lot of, I don't know, like, go listen to like Peter Gabriel or some of these things from the 80s where the technology was there in the 80s where people could basically have unlimited tracks. You know, post Wall of Sound, Phil Spector, you started to have people could run multiple 24-track tape machines, and I think there was some digital. I don't know when people were really recording digital. I know that Nevermind famously was done with Pro Tools, but that's like 91. But in the 80s, you have these people who, you know, the Princes, the Peter Gabriels, people who could do everything. And then the best records are the ones that have all that stuff, but somehow still sound cohesive. It's a really hard trick. Here's a group of more synth things. This is more just ambience. All James stuff. With the guitars. I bet there's more up here too. Oh, of course the bass. My sick bass line. So just very simple direct P bass. Oh, look at that. Some Juno sweep. Did I do that by hand? Please say I did it by hand. Oh, just a little tremolator. It's basically just like a super basic Juno patch with a whole bunch of whoopty wobbly stuff in there. You know, when you talk about blending synths, curious about the swell right before too. Yeah, we can go check that out. You know, you take something like a Juno, which is you can hand crank the filter and all that. It's hard to, you can't trigger it though, so you have to be playing, or somebody has to be playing and manipulating the knobs. It's really nice to do stuff after the fact. I love all the great tools, LFO tool, tremolator. You can actually do the same. You can basically do everything with LFO tool, but tremolator's nice because you just pop it on and it works, and there's some cool presets. But those, without all that, this is the Juno. And you can see here at the end, I chopped on a part because I'm sure I was playing the chord and then just did the sweep. Yeah, and I chopped it. Clearly, it goes too long here. So yeah, there's a lot of different elements in here that have that. There's actually there's a nice big hit here too. That's a modern sound right there. Without it, you need that motherfucker. Holy shit. There's some vocals in here too. Maybe I'll do a whole thing on vocals in a second. But the riser here, all these vocals. Of course, I have to unmute the vocal. Not particularly loud. It may have gotten turned up in the mix, but crazy little. hits that and then there's all these oohs. Yeah, this has a whole bunch of delay on it that I think gets, it gets muted here. It gets the mute automation, so it stops right on the chorus, but it has all this. Without it. With the delay and the EQ. So those are the ones that James and Ben did, and then I did a bunch, which are rendered from Pro Tools here.
Stars, car, music, stars, we must bow, minds, still feel smart.
Big part of that swell, huh? And so I think the raw track here still has a bunch of reverb in it. It's also has my sends here. Yeah, so there's so many layers of, so in the Pro Tools session, I had some reverb, a little reverb and delay, which you can hear there. Then I added a bunch with the sends I have here, which is the Seventh Heaven and some Valhalla stuff. Nothing magically special, but cool sounding. And then on an insert on the track, I also have Seventh Heaven and the Studio A, a short room that's about 50-50 on the mix, and then Decapitator to kind of, I just want it to sound real gritty, especially at the end here, like without it. With it. Just want it to overload, so you have all these things together. All right, maybe we'll look at the chorus. Is this all sounding right to you guys? This is my first time doing this, especially with no person to talk to. It's a weird experience. Is this useful? How'd you get that tape warble effect? Where tape warble effect? What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean there. If you could clarify, I can answer. This is extremely useful. Awesome. I love that. Tape warble. Stream quality is awesome. Lovely time. Lovely time with the Radovich. Hell yeah. I heard it just now. Yeah, Bradley, I'm not sure what you mean with the tape warble effect. Alas, I don't know the answer to that question. You can continue to try to clarify, or if you hear it on a specific thing on the blown out section you demonstrated. Vibrato on the guitars. Let me see. So it's just right in this section? In there? What's up, Taylor? Ooh, the stream's looking good. I love that. I'm not sure what tape warble effect. Probably what it is, and it may be baked into, will it be a recurring thing? I think I want to do this more. I like doing this. This is what, the thing with the lives I started doing with John was more than anything else was, those are the conversations we have in the studio when we hang out, and the pandemic meant we couldn't hang out. So I was like, let's go on Instagram Live and just see what happens. That's uncomfortable for us. Let's do uncomfortable things. Let's do new things. And it just snowballed from there. And now we're here. So I love talking about music. This is what we do in the studio, is like nerd out on things as we're making stuff, or finish for the day and, oh, check out this thing that I'm making. Oh, what do you think about this? And then, oh, let me throw some loops on, whatever. Like that's a big part of the studio process for me, and the collaboration is hanging out and talking about shit, because other producers do this with me and we learn stuff. Sounds like putting a finger on the tape during playback that made the pitch fluctuate down. There's a number of I would say automation effects, but they could be done by hand by sweeping the Juno, or they're baked in, or what I like to do sometimes is you can do this with most delays, but on the Valhalla delay, you can, let me see if I can just demonstrate it. What is this here? Is this me? And I don't know which track or if I did it on this one, but with this, if you change the delay time like an actual analog delay, it will change the pitch. This thing is fun as shit. If y'all don't mess with Valhalla delay, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. There are a few things you can't do, which sometime I'll show why I use other delays, but this one's really fun. And then just going crazy on the wow and flutter, whether it's this thing or whether it's Toop, which is a great plugin, or any of the various, or is it, they actually have a wow flutter, RC color, like people use all kinds of different stuff, but I'm probably baking in those things kind of without thinking about it. And I'm spending a lot of time these days. I've actually, for the last month, although I stopped a couple days ago to do some family stuff, for the last month in preparation for my trip to London, I've been doing 5 beats a day. So maybe I'll do that on stream at some point. I'm a little wary of doing that because, as I think I've talked about on the Discord, the 5 beats a day is very specifically as exercise. Like, they're not supposed to be great beats. They're supposed to be just like stretching, or like playing catch if you're a baseball player, or just doing some sketching and noodling, or like journaling if you're a person who does words, like just to do it. But what I've been doing when I've been making beats is I'll make a thing and immediately render it. Immediately render audio, just commit, work quickly. And I do that a fair amount when I'm producing, but I'm always trying to train myself to do that so that I don't get hung up on like tweaking things later too much. I think it's a really good thing for people to spend lots of time tweaking, but when you are in a studio writing, you do not want to be tweaking. As a producer, you want to be making things and staying in the flow. Another reason I love using Ableton and why I stopped using Pro Tools for writing sessions is Ableton is so fast and you can keep everything going the whole time. So oftentimes I'm trying to move quickly and teach my brain to just commit to what we have. I'm not always stopping the computer to commit while I'm writing, but the point is just committing to things. First idea, second idea, just throw it down and move on. So I think a lot of that stuff is going to be baked in to this session in ways that I don't remember. Let's see. Okay, let's see. Well, man, there's a lot in the chat here. Let me just see if folks were, hi, everybody. Cool seeing the process after watching lots of your past videos of you and John. Yeah, similar. Channeling his inner Kanye. I could not think of, musically, I could not think of a higher compliment. As a political scientist, I can't say I agree with him on all the contradictory things he said, but boy, was there a 10-year period where his maybe 15 years where he's a decade ahead of everybody. Yeah, I think I will do the beats at some point. I want to get, OP1 is great. OP1 is one of those tools that, if you don't know, it's a Teenage Engineering. They make this little hardware sampler keyboard recording device, and it looks like a toy and feels like a serious piece of hardware, but also kind of like a toy. I used to have one and then couldn't find my flow with it, and so I sold it. But I've had a few producers come in with them, and they're so fun. But again, it's that thing of you got to commit to stuff. You can't, quantize things quite as easily, and you're recording on their tape machine. You just get fun stuff. So it gets back to the analog synth conversation. Digital synths can emulate analog synths, but unless you have a physical thing that you're playing with, you're not going to get the same experience. Okay. So let's check out this chorus here. The chorus, similar, the drums are pretty much the same as the verse, except I think I played it initially. It's got some, where are my drums? It's got a couple little extra things, plus it's got, Dave Ulich played the hi-hat on it, so just the live drums here in the verse and the chorus. What's so sick about it is it's not just the which has a cool feel, but it has all those little grace notes on the snare drum that just make this groove crazy. There's a ding here. I don't know where that came from, but there's a ding that happens. Another open hi-hat, I think from the live drums that I chopped in. Looks like there's a grace note kick drum here. I'm not sure. But this groove. Also that bop, bop, psh, is so good. The bass is again, exact same bass. I don't think there's any automation on it. By the way, after the fact, Will, who finished the mix, may have done other little bits to it. You guys could be the judge. Still be friends, Ben Ellis, on streaming services everywhere. Okay, we got the basses. Okay, so one of the things with this song, and I will just play a second of the demo. So slower, some different sounds, aesthetically got some similar things, but for me it was about, the hook, tell me can we kiss and still be friends. I love songs that have a giant break for a vocal, whether it's I've been fucking nose and popping pillies, yeah, I feel like a rock star, or tell me do you love me, she's the only part, I said part, now I'm fucking up the Drake lyric, partly I only love my bed and my mama, I'm sorry, like landing on such a big hit after a long lyric. If the lyric is great and the vocal is great and you can get all that space, it just pops so much. So I did that from the demo. I was like, we gotta have that break. I got a little pushback as we were making it, but I was like, the break for that lyric is everything. So. And so to make that Friends hit, I wanted to put everything on it. But the problem when you put everything on it is that your limiter goes absolutely crazy and you don't have enough headroom. So that was probably the most challenging part of the song. I did a bunch of work on it to get it right, and then Will helped out more and I'm sure tweaked little things. We talked about it a lot with some of the mix passes. I was like, there's too much low end, so it's overwhelming the limiter. Maybe we can duck that a little bit more. I have some side chains. I'll show you all the things that are on it. And then, of course, when we sent it off to Rory O'Flaherty, the greatest Discord member, he's also a Grammy-winning mastering engineer and super talent and the nicest guy in the world, and will spend more time than anyone you can imagine helping out people. He's amazing. But as a mastering engineer, he did this amazing thing, which is figuring out how to get the level to hit just right. And I don't know what he did differently, but it works in the final version. But this hit here has... Tell me, can we kiss and still be friends? So it has a kick drum. It has bass hit. It has this crazy unrendered serum thing, which has track spacers. So you can see it ducks a lot on the kick drum, I think. That is so much low end. Oh my goodness. I wish I could just add like 10 dB of headroom for moments like this so it just explodes everybody's car speakers. But alas, we live in a finite digital universe. But so track spacer helped us a lot. I'm sure I rendered this all when I sent it to Will. And maybe just, what is this serum preset? Bold Voyage. Maybe it's Bold Voyage. Not a lot of I EQ'd the shit out of it, clearly. Smash through Decapitator. Actually, not really smashed, but a lot of high end added here. Yeah, look at that. You can do whatever you want. Add all the high end in the universe. You know, it ends up being a subtle part, but it fills out some high frequencies that aren't otherwise there. Honestly, maybe you can't even hear it, but I think it's sick. And let's see. Okay, there's some guitar hits. Okay, sure. And a whole lot of extra vocals. So there's the main lead vocal, which we can get into vocals in a second.
Tell me, can we kiss and still be friends?
Somebody asked about the different layers you're using for the chorus bass. It's the same as the verse, which I did a little bit earlier. So maybe after the fact, you can go back and start from the beginning. Because I went over, it's a couple Juno layers and a plucked thing. So still be friends.
Still be friends.
Great. We've got guitars and serum and all of that. And there's all these layers of background vocals. So there's these ones, which I think, it says M, so I assume I did it.
Friends.
Friends. Low ass note.
Friends.
Friends. So there's one that does the ba, but the rest of them are ba, boo, 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 boo. Not all of those notes, but a lot of them. And I think this is probably just reverb. Yeah, so this is rendered much longer. And then smashed with Devil Lock here. So this is without. But I want it to be friends. So. That's that one. And then there's some vocoder stuff in. And I think these are on different tracks. This may be something that may have been something that James did, where he used one of the plugins where you can just map in the chord, and maybe we did it differently for each. I can't remember why they're on different tracks. They're not processed any differently, I don't think. Yeah, they're the same, and then they're just bussed with a million jillion things, which nitty-gritty details. A lot of Devil Lock and Spectre and Valhalla and multiband compression and gate, and then more Spectre and more and more and more and more. So yeah, all these layers. Are there any more friends layers? Oh yeah, and there's more here. What about these? Still be friends. Those are Ben's. Get his voice on it. That's one of the things too that it's always an interesting challenge. My brain and my taste always wants to hear the personality of the singer. Like I lean towards that. I lean toward more of the Rick Rubin school of production, which is I like hearing one person singing and an instrument and maybe some rhythm, and boy, is that really nice. Like the first Johnny Cash album, which famously they just recorded demos for Yucks with a couple of microphones in his house. Then they did a full album with the full band, and we're like, you know what? Those original guitar vocal demos are it. And it revived Cash's career, and they won all the Grammys and all that. They produced out the next couple albums a little bit more. But I love the idea of hearing the singer. So I also love singing background vocals, and I love stacking things. But if stuff, it's always a creative decision to make how much you make it sound like the artist's voice in front of you and how much you make it sound like, I don't know, stacks of all kinds of people. And you get into gospel choir, you get into giant, like I said, the Disney vocals that I love so much. There's no right answer to that. But I know on these, getting the high end of his voice and the pronunciation, that's often what you get when you start adding background vocals of different singers. You get a different pronunciation of words. I also love the difference between American English singers, UK English singers, foreign country English singers, people inflecting things differently, people pronouncing words differently. Oftentimes when singers go high, some vowels have to, you can't really do high O's as easily as you can do high A's. So when you when a singer sings a high note, it might go, oh, like you might get some of that. And so trying to match that singing background vocals is always an interesting challenge. This one has a lot of that. Let's see, how are we doing in the chat there? Hope to see some VOD of this. Yeah. I think I'm going to go ahead and put this on YouTube. If you guys are saying it's sounding okay, nothing sounds too fucked up, I'll put this on the YouTube. It'll be, I don't know Twitch's form that well, but I think it'll be up on Twitch for 7 days. I think you can extend it if you have a higher subscription or something, but I don't have that yet. But it will definitely be on the YouTube, so you guys can check that out. Okay. I don't know what I'm kind of showing stuff here. What else do you guys want to see? Oh, there is a bridge to this song, which I don't imagine most of you know this song, but I'll go out of chorus 2, where there's a couple more riffs, a couple more bass riffs. There's a tambourine that comes in. So maybe we'll come out of pre-chorus 2, pre-chorus 2 into chorus 2 into bridge, and then there's a last chorus. The song changes pretty dramatically, and I will say this is the part that Will, the mix engineer, did the best job on. So if you want to hear that, the final mix of it, he really dialed in the bridge, because I kept adding things to the bridge up until the last minute, and the balance was a little screwy, and I'll show you all the stuff I added to just try to, this is something that I, alluded to earlier. I would love it if it was just like 5 elements, but it's so hard to make 5 elements sound huge and great when it's done. Those are the genius producers. I don't consider myself one of them. So I just added extra shit. I was like, let's throw another tambourine and some more guitars, and that tambourine's muted there, but like, I don't know, let's change the bass. I tried a sub-synth here that didn't work. Let's try all kinds of shit. But we'll go from second pre through the into the third chorus, and you guys can just check it out, and I'll break some stuff down.
Tell me, can we kiss and still be friends? Oh, if we cross that line, honey, I know I never wanted to end. I can bite my tongue and can't pretend. But if we don't bite the bullet, you'll drive me out of my head. Can it go from one night to 2 nights to never getting out of your bed? Can it go from alright to it's fine to I never wanna see you again? Tell me, can we kiss and still be friends? Oh, if we cross that line, honey.
Okay. Man, so the bridge has this big whoa sing-along pickup, and figuring out how to take a song that's like this,
Every persuasion for me to slip. I know temptations.
and like make it rockin'. Dave Ellich did an amazing job with the drums, and you can see here, I moved the live drums to a separate track. I must have processed them slightly differently. There's my Pro Q and my Spectre on the bridge drums. What did I do on the main drums? So I took off this high-end boost. Sometimes it's nice to automate stuff, but I find it easier to just get 2 separate tracks, because then if you start doing too much automation with Ableton, you start moving stuff and then it turns the automation off and you get that arrow, you got to turn it back on. I much prefer to have them on separate tracks, as long as there aren't like crazy plugin chains that would destroy my processing. So there's that. And I say that, and I do have Spectre automated there. So yeah, the main drum track has more high end and a slightly different high end with Spectre, and more high end with Pro Q4. And I think that's because, and this was again me mixing and bouncing one stereo track of the drums. Once the hi-hat came in, it kind of overwhelmed stuff, so I pulled it back and then tried to supplement it, the high end that you lost, by having more tambourine. I'm doing this so you guys know it's tambourine. So. Because if this were up here, it's too tinny up there. Mellower. It's too harsh. So 2 different drum tracks there, but all the other samples and things are the same, I think. And also Dave does a crazy drum fill. And I, hand did the samples here, and I think adjusted the volume a little bit, so it's just a little bit of that. And yeah, I added all these crazy, let's take the vocals out for a second. I added these big baritone guitars, which I think initially was actually James, the co-producer's idea, and then I did a slightly different version of them. So right, some almost like some Queens of the Stone Age type shit or something. So the idea here is just bring in a whole different texture. And let's see what's actually the processing on it. Oh, shout out to, this is an Instagram ad that got me. So if the nudist audio or whoever, I saw your ads, I bought that shit. Not a sponsor. Just a cool, crazy, and I bought it just off the sounds that they showed, just cool sounding. And you can see everything here is sidechained at least a little bit. I know that Will Reeves, the mixer, probably made some adjustments here and there to get it to land. But again, it's the combination of live stuff and, I keep looking over at the chat, live stuff and programmed, and how do you make those things sound exciting? How much do we want it? Like if Prince made Kiss today, it would probably be much more programmed and hit super, super hard, just like the old version hit for its era. So with this song, it was like, how do we make it sound rock and roll, but have that modern punch to it? And I thought, doing some type shit would be fun. Actually, usually like having the left one on top for my brain. So what is this one? It's a guitar rig. I don't know. I have auto-tune on there. That's odd. I don't know. I literally searched fuzz, stonery fuzz. I don't know if I manipulated this at all. Oftentimes, I took off the reverb. So many, this bugs me. If anybody works at plugin companies, there should be a way to open up your presets for anything and select like a no effects option or like no reverb and delay. So many presets from whether it's Serum or Guitar Rig or whatever, they're so nice without all of the, they're trying to make the giantest sounds, but how does that fit into, anyway. And I think the auto tune, oh, this got changed. This would definitely be on instrument. Yeah. Also, fucking auto-tune. Anytime you do anything, it seems to just mess with your settings. So I don't know if I double check this. It might be out of tune on the final version. Who the fuck knows? But I was using either some sort of a baritone guitar or detuned. And when I went for more performance, as you can hear on this. I'm not trying to play a perfect part. You can see it's not on the grid. It's messy. That's the purpose of it, is you want it to stand out. Some of the hits are too late, and so the attack comes out, because if the attack of every hit is right on a snare drum, you're not going to hear it. So the fact that they flam and they are not exactly at the same point, makes it stand out a little bit more. And you can just hear me just like. Yeah, shout out my one take. I'm very proud of that. One take bridge to the chorus. Now, how many takes did I do? I tried a couple things here. I'm looking at the playlist. I tried one version. But yeah, that was just one take there at the end. And yeah, guitar rig, tuned a little bit, little EQ, and then sidechain to the kick drum. Let's see, what are folks saying? To vanish the verb and echoes and presets. Oh my goodness, yeah. So those are really like that plus the drums all of a sudden have open hi-hat. And of course, a nice tambourine, which is, shout out, no reverb on this one, no effects, just straight through one of the tambourines here through I'm pretty sure that's the RCA 44. I tend to like that ribbon mic unless I want a particularly bright tambourine or a particularly bright acoustic guitar. It's nice to have two different types of mics, even if you just have like one ribbon and one condenser, so you can contrast the sounds. As I bonk this, contrast the sounds. It's a nice thing. So I'm pretty sure this is the 44. But yeah, tambourine. This is another tambourine. It wasn't right, so we didn't use it. I remember now. This one was too swung. Again, that's a kind of a fun groove thing. So. It's too swung and too tight, so I replayed it. The groove is way better with that other tambourine. That was definitely like a last minute thing. I was just like, the bridge was so challenging on this one, but once that tambourine locked in and got the baritones right, that was the ticket. I also messed with the idea of using a big sub bass there. But it slowed down the groove too much. I don't know if this will. Let's hear it with the sub bass. Yeah, coming out of the bump, 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 and all of a sudden losing that in the bass. I thought it was going to work, and I really tried to make it work. Let's hear that. Actually really like how it sounds there, but I remember once you get into the last chorus and you're hearing the can we kiss it, that rhythm again, and you hear it, and then you just have a sub synth that's, even though it's sidechained, it's just roar the whole time. It just gets tiring. And that's a big thing for me with producing songs, is like trying to listen to that. I can't remember who was the one. It might have been Chris Wallace, who was an old friend of mine. We produced a bunch of stuff together, amazing artist. He's in Nashville now. That he would talk about being like, I love this song for the first 90 seconds and then I get tired of it. Just like listening to that instinct. Okay, well, what does that mean? That's when you bring out the skill of like, all right, what does it need? How do we, and I have, now hundreds of ways to make something not, like I'm bored. If I'm bored 90 seconds into a song, or when the second chorus comes in, it's like, I feel like I've already heard this. Okay, what does that mean? Do we cut the first chorus shorter? Is the tempo not right? Do we need more things? Do we need fewer things? Do we need fewer things before? There's all these strategies to it. And I remember with this sub bass, it sounded so good in just listening like this. But then once it got with all the vocals, and once it got to the end, you listen from the top, it just didn't quite sound right. I'm trying to think. Yeah, there's some other stuff in here. Just filled it out harmonically a little bit. Who knows if it made the last. Oh, and there's some kind of percussive acoustic guitar stuff too. Again, trying to figure out how to make this part of the song lift and feel rhythmic. Now that you have long notes. So without the guitars, acoustic guitars, and with. Some part of me thinks this is all too much, but it does add up nicely. And I think I probably took off all the low end. Yeah. You know, high passing at like 270. Looks like maybe there's even two high passes. There's the high pass and then there's the high. Oh, that's a dip there. That's a bell curve, but taking out a lot of the low end. So you just get the like chicka chicka of the guitar. It has some on each channel too. Just to get that percussive element. Yeah, and there's a bunch of rendered background vocals. I think that's all me, and then there's oops. Layers from Ben, layers from James, layers from me, just kind of playing with it until it fits. Maybe next time we can dig more into kind of the mixing aspect and mix bus and all of that. Holy moly, I've done like an hour 45. This seems like a good place to stop. I will, I thank you guys for coming on the chat and giving me thoughts and checking this out with me. This will be up on the Twitch for the next week, I guess. But I'm recording it here on OBS. So I will, download it or it's on my computer and I'll put it up on the YouTube and just give me feedback. Tell me if this is useful. Tell me what you want to see more of. Obviously I'm going to do some things on Twitch where I zoom in with people or have people in the studio. There'll be more conversations, versions of what we did, initially for the first 16 episodes. But this is kind of the new evolution of it. Obviously, millions and millions of people have been doing Twitch and Kick and live on YouTube and all that. But hopefully this is useful to you guys. And 117, here we are. I'll be on the Discord after this for those of you that are Discord people. Come check it out if you're not. And yeah, look forward to doing more of this. Appreciate you guys. Hope this was useful. I'll see you soon.